Hello.
Good morning, morning or afternoon, everyone, or evening, whenever you're watching.
I'm just loving that Blue has daylight behind her and it's not 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's 6 o'clock at night here.
Awesome.
So, yeah, we're on summertime, so daylight.
How fabulous. And I must say, it looks awful bright and beautiful in your new place.
It is. There's daylight, and it's brilliant because there's no lights on in here right now. Whereas in the other place, every time you saw me, I had every light in the house on. Whereas here, I don't need to. It's great.
It looks wonderful, and you look like you're glowing, even though you're exhausted, I bet.
You do.
It's awesome.
So we've got Mtn Grandma with us today, and we have the pixie, the blue pixie, known as Blue is what she prefers, with Blue's Self-Reliance joining us today for another 7FGoalSetting2022 series, which is the brainchild of Mtn Grandma. So
it was brilliant.
All her idea.
Thank you. Yeah. I have to set goals, or I'm one of those people that will chase their tail if I'm not careful. I might get a couple of things done really well because I'll nerd out on them and be obnoxious and let other things fall. So
I've learned that even though I'm not getting all the things I initially set out to get, I'm getting other stuff done. Like I'm always getting something done.
Yep.
And some of it is the accountability. Hey, Rebecca Davis, welcome in. I know, hey, Kettle Kitchen.
Good morning.
And I know Wendy at Hardknack Farms has this running in the background. Thank you. Bountiful Harvest Abby stopped in, can't stay. Totally get it. And Rhonda Redeemed Prodigal had stopped in to say Pam is awesome.
Oh, thanks, hon.
So we are going to be talking with Blue about the 7Fs.
I had to make some really quick notes because all the stuff that I had for it is somewhere in a box.
I'm laughing because I saw the pen and I was like, everybody comes on with a pen. So for those of you just joining us, the 7Fs are friends.
Ooh, where'd you go? Oh no. Oh, there she is.
That was weird. I was on there when you said, where'd you go? But then all of a sudden it went boop. Hey, Grace and Fire.
Welcome back.
Can everybody hear and see us? I just want to make sure. Give me a thumbs up. Say something. Talk to me. Give it a second because I know it's delayed on Melon. I thought I had this set. Okay, thanks, Tony.
Yep.
Tony had his first live on the weekend. And a lot of you guys know I'm trying to set boundaries with YouTube, so I'm not on for several days at a time. So I'm sorry I missed it, but I heard it was a good time.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed that one, but it was midnight for us and it was right in the middle of moving, so there was no way I was going to be up.
Look, one thing that I'm learning is boundaries. All right. I've always been learning that and implementing them, but last year I was a bit crazed. I was on everywhere. I've got to get stuff done. And especially now, this is go time, like I've said before. So I've had to back off because I'm chasing pheasants that are out of their right mind. And you laugh. They are. I'm just saying.
I know. When you first got them and I saw how fast they were, and then you said they were getting out, I was thinking, oh my gosh, they have to be something to try to catch.
There's 12 of them remaining, and they still need the heat lamp. We have grates on the top with wire, like frames that are on the top to keep them in.
Mhm.
It's gotten to the point now where I'm going to be posting a short. I'm just going to see if I can get another one to show an update of how big they got. But just to give you an idea, I handle all the farm stuff here, except for the building, right? Because that's my daily job. So I feed and all that. I go down to give them water. I no longer can do it myself. It's a 2-person job. And that's because when I pull the water out, I have to open the grate and 5 of them jump out. They're not like chicks.
Mm-hmm.
So now, and then last night they graduated to the larger shavings because we had that blanket down because apparently they'll eat all the shavings and they'll starve to death for the first few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
They're only 2.5 weeks old. And they're flying out of the brooder for the past week.
Wow.
Too bad you couldn't like make a hole in the top of it, secure the water dish under that hole, and put a funnel there.
I know. Last night you should have seen us. I had a old flannel sheet and I laid it on top of the brooder and they went nuts. Right? But then once it was on there, they calmed down and I was like, okay. So I'm like holding the sheet while Ryan's putting the water in and we're putting shavings in. And I'm like, they're nuts. They're nuts. Hey, Chris and Larry Homestead, welcome in.
Hey there.
So I wanted to give a shout out. I don't see her here, but I want to give a shout out. Lisa Colovi is one of my dear friends since kindergarten and also a moderator for us on Friday. I want to give a shout out to her daughter who graduated college yesterday.
Aw, awesome.
Summa cum laude in like biology and chemistry. Tammy would love her.
Fantastic.
So Christina is a beautiful young woman and I can't believe that she graduated. And so now she will have 1 year of her master's and be out into the world. So
awesome.
Congratulations to Christina.
Awesome.
Yes, congratulations. Gotta love those 4+1 programs they have now.
Yeah.
We have in MSU too, a 4+1 program for even biomedical engineering, which, you know, that's my thing. But they have a 4+1 program. I love that.
We called it in the social work field, they called it advanced standing. So you applied for it and that's how I got my master's. You have to graduate with a certain GPA and then you have to apply for it, be accepted, and then you join the second year. And that's what I did. It was a 4+1, which saved a lot of money
and time.
So
I mean, money you save plus money that you spend not being able to be employed because you're a full-time student. You know what I mean?
Yep. Especially since in the social work field, you're not going to get paid much and you're going to do a lot of internships and not be paid for them.
Yeah.
But
hey, kudos to your degree though. Such an important field.
I love my degree. I'm so glad that I did it. It was the best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
I got to meet amazing people.
You followed your heart then. You know what I mean? That's what I did too. I really searched and found something that felt like the right thing that I was just supposed to do. And I followed that.
That's awesome, Glenda. She was saying her son did it in high school.
That is awesome.
It's done before his high school. That's awesome.
Wonderful.
Hey, Stewart's Prepping. Welcome in. Thanks for smashing the thumbs up. So, Miss Blue.
Yes.
You got some notes there, I hear.
I have, but I don't know what you want me to start with, so you're going to have to ask me questions.
Well, you know about the 7 F's, and what I always like to start with is I do take the majority of your description from your channel because I feel like a lot of people put a lot of that, a lot of work into that, and I just change it around for the right tense, so to speak. but try to keep the information the same. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about your channel and a little bit about you?
Okay, well, my channel is Bloo Self-Reliance. Ta-da. It started off with my journey going back to starting to grow my own food in a very confined environment that we had where we are, or where we were. It's hard because we've just moved. But where we were, and we had very strict restrictions on what we were allowed to do and what we weren't allowed to do because it was communal space. So I wanted to be able to do that, and I wanted to be able to start doing more hands-on scratch cooking and preserving our own food that we were growing and all of that kind of thing, which is what I did when the kids were small. But then I got older and they didn't need me anymore, and they discovered McDonald's, and so the whole thing kind of went poof, because I was living my life, they were living their lives, and we weren't really worrying about it at that point. But now, for health reasons, really, I am as close to being having a full-on plant-based diet as possible, except for one cheat day that I have a week. Or if there's reasons that I can't do it, then I'm pretty flexible on that at the moment. But it's, as we settle in here, it's going to become more closer to 100%. And the reason for that was because I have a long list of medications that I can't take because I'm allergic. And they feed those to the animals in mainstream meat production. But they don't cook out of the meat. You can cook out viruses, you can cook out bacteria, but you cannot cook out medication. And I was finding that I was getting covered in rashes. I was having the same allergic reaction as if I took the actual medication. So I had to stop and be really, really careful. So yeah, that's kind of where it went to. But it's really evolved.
Hold that thought, because I just want to shout out something that you just said and repeat it.
Yeah.
We're eating medications when we're eating store-bought meat. Did everybody hear that? Holy smokes. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I haven't had store-bought meat in over a year and a half.
Good for you, Lisa. We don't have the pigs. We got the cow. We have deer meat, but we'll still buy pork, bacon, chicken, because we don't have chickens. Well, we don't have meat birds yet.
I just want to say hey to Wendy at Hardneck Farm. She is whole food, plant-based. Hello, back to nature.
Goal.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the end goal for me. And by the end of this year, I want that to be an absolute, because I can't do this anymore. I can't. Part of the reason that I've gained as much weight as I have is because I've been having the reactions to the medications in the meat and into dairy. So I need to stop because it is actually making me incredibly ill. So which doesn't help anything else. Yeah.
Wow. But, that's really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I was a chef for 26 years and I ran a small bistro in a bowling club, lawn bowls club.
Nice.
It was across the road from an allergy clinic. So I was doing dairy-free and gluten-free and allergy-friendly food in the bistro before it was popular. So so I've got a background where I've done that, and then because of that, I went and studied to be a nutritionist and dietitian to go along with it, so I knew exactly what I was doing. And then more recently, I became a qualified herbalist, and so that I could medicate myself without worrying about just because I saw it on YouTube or just because I read it somewhere or whatever. I had the information and could look at trying to treat myself in a more holistic way. The channel now is evolving to be able to teach other people that kind of thing who don't have a lot of money, because a lot of the things that you see on different channels is really expensive. So, I mean, my tagline is self-sufficiency on a rainwater budget. Well, we've all heard of living a champagne lifestyle on a beer budget, but if you don't even have a beer budget and you've only got a rainwater budget, that's what I'm working towards teaching people, but doing that on every level. So on the Fridays I do the budgeting lives, teaching different areas of budgeting within the household as a whole. And as I settle back in here, there'll be a lot more different series that come out to do with scratch cooking for beginners and from garden to table and all kinds of things, but working so that everyone can afford to do it. So it's on everybody's level, not just people who have already got money or can already afford to do these things, because at the moment it's really important for the people who don't have money, don't have the space to be able to do these things and feel like they can do these things without breaking the bank kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
that's a really great point. Hello, Country Mama Musings. Alicia, welcome in. We're sending our love to you. And one of the things that I love about you, and there's several things that I love about you, but one of the things is that you're doing all that you just talked about. And that's because as a social worker, I have worked with folks repeatedly throughout the years with food banks and access to things and services, and the food in the food banks are the most unhealthy.
yes, I will agree with that. Absolutely.
And cheeseburgers at McDonald's or other fast food restaurants are all very cheap, right?
Yeah.
So
Not here, but go on.
Yeah, and I won't get on my high horse or soapbox about the fact that the food that is cheap and accessible is the worst you can eat.
Yeah.
Right. And so along with the whole culture of poverty, there's this whole thing of folks being very unhealthy. So I'm glad that you're doing the garden to table stuff.
I was listening to a conference this weekend, and they were talking about fast food, and that it's like they were calling it poison and saying, remember, when you're eating their burger, they are buying the cheapest meat they can from the cheapest source. You've got, if you really go and look, you'll find that these are places that have cows just crammed in to a very small area. They're very sick, and they go ahead and butcher sick animals. And if you're going to eat meat, that you should really try to eat organic meat that you raise, someone else raises, meat that you know what it's been fed and what it's been pumped with, like you mentioned, medications. But I just, when they kind of broke it down to that, I was like, holy cow.
Yeah. And look at me. I am a foodie, and
likewise.
I don't know how to say this. I'm all about growing my own meat, but I am not, like, me and Tammy differ there. Tammy does a lot of holistic herbal stuff that I don't do. And I think it's great. Don't get me wrong. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I am not as strict about that. But there is one thing that I will always say is that the fact that we raise our own meat is that I know they're loved from day one. They are loved the day they leave the farm, and they are treated with respect the entire time, all the way to the freezer to when they're cooked. And we are extremely grateful for everything that they give us. you know? And so for me, that is the biggest thing and it's better.
Yeah.
I know what's going into it. I know it's being fed. So I think it's important.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely it is. The problem is that for the everyday person, the price is so out of range.
Correct.
That they can't afford to do it.
Right.
So it's then about finding ways that they can do it. One of the things that I will be aiming to do this year is that we know that there's a organic pig farm that is about 20 miles from here. And we're going to be buying half a piggy. And I will be teaching butchery from that and different types of charcuterie from that as well, because here in the UK, storage in the kitchens and for pantries, etc., is minimal. So just throwing things in the freezer is not necessarily going to work. And because prices for electricity have just skyrocketed, like they've quadrupled overnight, and they're about to do the same thing in October again. So people may not be able to afford to have their freezers. So showing them that there are other ways to preserve the meat and teaching them those ways of doing that will mean that, you know, they have a better chance of being able to, you know, having what they should have at an affordable price, you know. So yeah, it's hard though. It is hard. And but one of the other things I'm doing this year is I am going to be working with the head of the local food banks here in York to work towards putting together a program of cooking classes and etc. to help those who need it. Because another issue that we have here is that funding has gone from things like cooking classes and life skills classes in general, and they've been put closer to, more money's being put into sport than is being put into life skills. So, you know, you're cooking, you're sewing and all those kinds of things, and part of the excuse that they're using is that they're sexist classes because only girls will use them, when actually if you look at the industry as a whole, when it comes to hospitality, there's more men involved than there are women.
Yep.
So to take those classes away already handicaps a lot of people who may want to go into hospitality as a chef or a cook, or B, just in general need to learn to cook themselves. And watching how the classes are now run, they're basically not teaching them anything. They're saying, we're going to do curry next week, find a recipe, bring the ingredients, we'll cook it together. So you've got 30 kids in a class doing 30 different things who still don't have a clue what they're doing. You know,
that's
so
insane.
It is. So, you know, kids give up because they teach them a very weird way of cooking, and it's hard. It's too hard, and it shouldn't be that hard. So yeah, what we're looking to do is to set up a cooking series that is very basic, very easy, and just shows how it should be done in a very quick and simple way, so people don't give up, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, Barb's Country Home, welcome in. That's awesome.
The rates of, I know this from where I used to work, the rates of hypertension and type 2 diabetes amongst children has really been going up. And I know right along with obesity, right?
Yeah.
And one of the doctors, because, you know, I'm in research, and one of the doctors was wanting to do a study. So that's why I know specifically about that. And they were wanting to have a control group that we worked with, maybe local food banks, to try to get them a box of nutritious food along with some meal ideas on how to prepare it, because that you've got that right. And this was inner city, so it was inner city kids, but it's crazy to think that, I mean, yes, we know, for anybody who doesn't know, type 1 diabetes, that's what usually affects children. Type 2 typically affects adults. And we have children in grade school that are now developing hypertension and diabetes. And it's really food related. I mean,
absolutely. I mean, one of the biggest issues is that highly processed, quick and easy, ready-made food is cheaper than the ingredients to make it.
Yeah.
And if the basic ingredients are too expensive, then you're going to go, if you are on an extremely limited budget, you're going to go for the thing that's going to give you the most bang for your buck. If you've got £10 or whatever, or $10 to feed your family, you're not going to go out and buy one organic chicken, because number one, you can't afford it, because over here they're nearly 20 quid a pop for one.
20 how many quid?
£20 for an organic
20
chicken.
pounds. I was like, quid, that's a new one I haven't heard. 20
pounds. Sorry.
At our local grocery store, they were $20 for, well, I'm in a vacation town too, so everything is higher. A fillet of fish at McDonald's is $6.12 sandwich only. That's what I was like, what?
Half and half is now $9.99, and for a half gallon, whipping cream for, what is it, a quart? Yeah, a quart is $9.99.
Oh my goodness! I think they actually are pints, aren't they? Those little guys.
No, when I buy it,
ones?
The taller, skinny one, the 2 pint, or
holy smokes!
I think it's a quart, right?
Yeah.
What we end up, because what I do is I bought it the other day to make ice cream, and then the leftover, because I bought a larger one thinking I wanted to make butter, because I wish I had a dairy cow, but I don't.
Aww.
And I'm in beef country, so finding a cow is impossible.
You'd think in beef country all the dairy products would be cheaper.
Yeah. The tourists are here, by the way. They're
you got
here.
A vacation town too.
The Tesla rally was this weekend.
Oh.
I'll be staying home for the rest of the summer.
I know, Lisa. You know what happens, Blue? Lisa's in a vacation town too. And we always say this, like when it comes the time where it starts to get really hot in other places or whatever, when it's the summertime, they come up, they hoard around our lakes. And I mean, you've got to, if you want to go fishing, you got to go during the week. It's kind of obnoxious, but then we have all the prices. Our town does offer a locals discount though. Do you guys get one of those, Lisa? At least.
No, we get high prices all year round.
We do too. We live in York, which used to be the capital of the UK back in medieval times. We are one of the biggest tourist cities. The only economy here is tourism. That's it. We've got things as old as Roman villas underneath some of the pubs that have been built on top of. The recent series of Vikings, a lot of it was set in Old York in the later series. That's where we live.
That's cool.
It is great. If you're a history buff, like I absolutely adore that kind of history. But if you live here, the tourists forget that there are actually people who actually live here. And I've been pushed off pavements by groups of tourists into the road when I'm walking with a walking frame.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So we try to avoid the center of town as much as possible, but I love it in there. I'm not gonna lie, I love it in there.
I love it here too.
But
Country Mama was telling me to get a yak, and the reason why she's saying that is in the county above us, there were 2 yaks on the loose. And
Oh my
had sent her,
goodness.
I sent her the link and said they haven't found the owners, but then they did.
Oh. That would be awesome.
Yeah, definitely, Wendy.
Mm.
Electricity is expensive all over. The
Yeah.
real estate is ridiculous here.
Oh, don't even get me started on rentals.
Hey, I heard real
Here-
estate's supposed to be going down.
I've heard it too a year ago, and I'm still waiting.
Oh, I just heard it recently.
Yeah.
I heard that because the interest rate is going up,
Mm-hmm.
the value of homes is going to go down simply because you're going to have people who now are deciding not to move,
Right.
to stay where they're at.
Yeah. Well, see, we have a major university here as well. We have two of them.
Mhm.
And so every place that has 3 bedrooms or more is being bought up by landlords to be rented out as rooms individually. If we had to rent this place on the private market, we would be looking at about £1,200 a month. People don't have that sort of money. They don't.
What's the conversion rate from pounds to dollars? Do you know?
I can't check it right now because I'm on my phone and I've got no other internet.
I can look it up.
Yeah.
The one thing that I do know, and Blue, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do know from my travels to London and France, like to England and France, is that like accommodations and apartments are much different than in the United States.
Yes.
So typically, like an apartment is of a smaller size.
Yes.
Than here, which I would welcome, by the way.
So as
Tanny
of
just
today,
said
the conversion is £1 equals $1.25.
Yeah.
In dollars. As our dollar continues to tank. But anyways, go ahead.
That's okay. We're tanking too. So, because, we've got very special people looking after it.
Yeah, we do.
People, Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We do.
Yep.
We have a mission.
Yes.
So one of the things I love about your channel, Blue, is all of the tips that you do give on budgeting. And I know you talked about wanting to try to be plant-based by the end of the year. Yeah. Have you thought about do you have any goals that kind of revolve around that financial piece of it? You just moved. Congratulations on your move.
Thank you.
That had to have been a goal achieved, right?
Yes, that is a goal achieved. That's actually a step towards our end goal future, because we have obviously short-term goals, medium and long-term goals. And so this for us is a step towards that. It was a major step because it makes a huge difference to my physical and mental well-being, and obviously to Tanny's as well, who's in the background. And he's just got home from work, so so I lost it. Where's it gone? It's gone. My brain.
Well, congratulations on your house.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Tanny goes, what? She goes, my brain.
B12.
Yes.
B vitamins.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know. Where am I going?
So we were talking about financial goals, and you just got your house, which had to have represented you achieving one of those, right?
Yes.
And you were talking about how that was a step for you towards your end goal of and then I think what you were going to say was self-reliance, self-sufficiency, that kind of thing.
Yes, because that's the end goal. It's the end goal is to Tanny has gone back to full-time work. He was my full-time carer for 3 years, and then last year he just went, I'm getting a job. I'm getting a job. We can't keep doing this. This is ridiculous. So he went and got himself a full-time job. He's now delivering pharmaceuticals to chemists and doctors and hospitals and old people homes and all that kind of thing.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's made a huge difference to us, which is great. But we still couldn't afford to rent. We still couldn't afford to rent.
Yeah.
It's like,
crazy here too.
That's insane. You know, if you're working full time, and he gets up at 4, he's at work at 4:30, he gets in at about 6. If you can't pay rent on that there's something seriously wrong with the system. But his goal, I know his goal, is to get us our own place where we're not paying rent, where it's our own home. And that's going to take, you know, X amount of years. And with what I do as well, now that we've moved here, I can have my art supplies back. I can have my work things back. I've been without them now for nearly 2.5 years. So I haven't been able to have really any income of that nature coming in anymore, because I make hand-stitched props for reenactors, medieval, Viking, Dark Ages group, people like that. I make war banners and all sorts of stuff. Some of my stuff has been in films, some of it's been on TV. Some people just use it at festivals, you know. So now that I can get back into doing that, hopefully there'll be some pennies coming in, which would be great. So I can feel like I'm, you know, back into helping getting the ball rolling as well. I also make fairy cottages, etc. that are
You make what now?
I make fairy cottages.
Fairy cottages?
Yeah.
Oh, how cool.
That's awesome.
Where's he gone? I think Tanny's bringing one. One of them, he's just bringing one of them now. It's actually a series that I was working on, like these ones.
Oh my goodness, how cool is that?
There's your little pixie.
Oh, I love it.
Needs a little bit of fixing because obviously this one's
and you can put night lights in it.
Yeah, it's out. But yeah, he's whisked it away again. But that one in particular, you can just put little fairy lights, little things. But I'm also making ones that are actual lamps, and it's a series I'm creating called Shambles Village, which is where some drunk trolls came through one night and literally kicked all their town to pieces. So they're all sort of like broken and hobbled and stuff, and each one comes with its own story, and it's basically about how the big guy kicks over the little guy, but the little guy keeps rebuilding, you know,
a real life reenactment.
Absolutely. Yeah. Pretty much. But yeah, so I haven't worked really on them for a while, but yeah, but they're not as you can see from that one, they're not the really garish ones that you see. They're more nature based and you know, looking more like real, what they would be built in real life. So
and that's bound to be like one of your sources of fun, because I know I have just kind of pulling it to the 7Fs too. Like that's one thing that is keeping it fun. And my husband and I both, we have lots of hobbies. Like each of us, we have lots of hobbies, and it definitely brings us peace. And you know, and you mentioned that you didn't have that for a couple of years, and it makes me wonder just how that, now that you have it back, I think you'll be able to speak to it here in about 6 months. How it impacted your spirit, because my husband and I, you know, when I was working, we had a pest control company. I know, guys, we hate pesticides. I'm just saying. And when we sold the company and I changed my job, which was taking a lot out of me. During that time that we had those things, I wasn't playing music hardly at all. My husband didn't play guitar as much. And we've had that back in our life. And it has definitely had such a positive impact on our spirit. So I'm so happy for you that you got that back, because those, whatever anybody's fun is, you know, whether it's another one of my fun things is gardening. And I had even put down the gardening for a couple of years. And that was something I did like nearly every year the kids were growing up. But it was, I put it down for a couple of, and I had the best place to garden where we lived before. But now with all of those things coming back, it's so wonderful, you know.
It makes such a difference to yourself, you know. And I think one of the most important things that my dad ever said to me was this: if you don't enjoy doing it, stop.
Yeah.
You know, if there is no point in working a job that is going to destroy your spirit, you're better off stopping, being on benefits until you can do the job that absolutely makes your heart sing. Because if you don't, it will kill you. It will crush you. There is absolutely no point.
Yes, that's what I tell people when I came out of my last job. And I was there 12 years and I did love it. But the last couple of years were brutal on me.
Yeah.
There were changes I didn't agree with. And I really got to a point where I just near hated it.
And I would tell people,
yes, I told people, don't work a job you hate. It'll kill you. Because let me tell you, I started getting back pain. I had chronic back pain. We don't need to go on and on, but you get the gist. I was having all kinds of health problems, and it was due to that job. Like as soon as I changed and got a new job, everything started to get better. Everything.
Yeah.
So Bloo, what I wanted to ask you, are there any particular goals that you have, and how would you categorize them in the 7 F's?
I think the biggest one for me right now is to do with fitness. Since I moved to York in late 2018, so only 4 years ago, I've gained 13 stone. I've become twice the person I was basically when I moved here. And that was predominantly because I didn't feel safe where I lived. There wasn't room for me to do my physio. I couldn't use the equipment that I needed. Now that we've had this move, I have the room to do my physio, so I can start going and doing yoga again. I can do all of those things. I can use my mobility equipment in here because the place has wider doors. We've got the room to do all of that kind of stuff. I can look better into looking after my health internally as well as externally, and start, you know, really looking after me, because I have to. I really do have to. We do have a private garden here. It's a little courtyard, and over the next few weeks the greenhouse will go up, so that will be fantastic. I said next few weeks. Just excuse him, he's very rude.
By the way, I saw his Tanny, it was brilliant how you stacked everything by the back door.
Just so you know, it's still there because half of that stuff needs to have shelves put up out here so that we can put it away.
Just so you know, it's not there because I've already moved it and I've already been out in the back garden. I enjoyed the back garden.
I actually had to get the gas man who came to uncap the gas today to move it from the back door because he needed to get to the extraction pipe, external pipe thing out there. So, you know, but it was an evil genius move on his part. Definitely an evil genius part. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Funny.
It didn't work though, did it?
No, it really didn't work.
No, because you got somebody else to move it.
Yeah, I did. Because he wouldn't let me move it. He thought I'd hurt myself. So he was a very nice gentleman, the gas fitter.
Got a word with him then.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The Happy Whisk wants to know, do you have a sound that when you hear it, it relaxes your shoulders, mind, and spirit? Hers is Leaves in the Trees.
Yeah, that's another one for me. I am a eclectic pagan. I say that, but I'm more a spiritual person. I'm not a religious one. And for me, nature is definitely my church. And I haven't been out in nature enough. And it's really, I can tell the difference. But what I do know is walking distance 2 streets over, there's a massive like woodland area, green space area that I plan on spending some more time in, which will get me walking and out in that. And that is, yeah. But rain.
In Japan, they write prescriptions for forest therapy. That's what they call it, forest therapy. Yeah. And Japanese doctors will write prescriptions for that.
I'll have one of those, thanks.
Hey, write yourself one.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm doing. But yeah, those are my 2 main ones, I think, is getting out in nature again. Getting out there and just being out there, because I'm not used to living in a town. I'm not used to, this is really a city. It's not a town. And I'm not used to the amount of concrete and people.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so when you've lived in the country for so long or out in the middle of nowhere and you come into that, it's jarring. It is. Finding those green spaces and getting out into those green spaces for me is incredibly important. So that's definitely on the list. Yeah.
You're our first guest to focus on fitness very much. I just want you to know that. So we're very proud of you.
Thank you.
And even the food to go along with it.
Yeah, well, it's you've got to look at yourself on a complete level. You can't just do one and not do the other things, because if you're doing one and not the other, it doesn't work.
I've heard it said you can't out exercise a bad diet, which I've tried that. I think they're right. But now I don't really even exercise. I need to put that on my goals. I heard somebody and a couple different people, over in the prepping world have said that one of your main preps should be your own body, like your own physical fitness.
Absolutely.
And I got some work to do in that department.
Well, that's the thing. Your body goes under stress, and if you're put under major amounts of stress, which this week has been incredibly stressful for us, the first thing your body does is going to fight or flight mode. The first thing it does is expel everything. And as women as well, particularly, we have other expulsions that occur because if you are less than 4 months pregnant, your body will literally expel anything that's there so you can run. So you don't have to worry about that thing. So that's why if you're under huge amounts of stress, you will end up having a monthly out of sync, to put it as delicately as I can, because that's what your body's trying to do. It's trying to expel everything that's going to stop you from getting away or, So that's what your body does. And that's what it does. And it's hard when you suddenly think, well, my body's already done that. And if I was running, I would expect other people to be running too, because there's no way that I could run right now. I can't run away to save my life. I couldn't do it right now.
I had to run to catch a plane once, pulling just a small tote behind me. And where we live, it's a very small airport. So I had to fly to Phoenix, catch a real quick flight. And it was on the other side of the dang airport. And that is exactly what I said when I finally got there. I arrived huffing and puffing, and a coworker had them holding the plane for me. Thank God. She's like, I was telling them you were short. I was like, did you tell them I'm fat too? Like, I've been struggling. and that's what I said is, oh my gosh, I can't. If I had to run for my life, I think I'd be in trouble. Like, I don't know if I could run for my life.
Oh, you'd run.
Oh yeah, you'd run, but you'd be the person that everybody left you for zombie fodder. Do you know what I mean? You know, like me. So
yeah, I know how you feel. It would be nice if I felt confident in in my running abilities.
Yeah.
Which is why I want to go into doing yoga, where I can do it slowly and slowly build up muscle strength.
Yeah.
You know, that's the most important at the moment, I think, is getting that muscle strength together, because that will tighten everything around the joints that hurt and the back that hurts and all of the other bits and pieces, you know. And as you do that, it slowly brings you down as well, combined with a better diet and fresh air and less soda and, you know, coffee.
I always get a kick out of your coffee cups in your videos, by the way.
I know it. So we've got about a little under 10 minutes left. Hey, Charlie, Fallen Arkansas veterans. I just wanted to throw it out there for folks while we're talking, as we're getting near the end. Wanted to throw out, if you have any questions for Bloo, put them in the chat with a capital Q so I can take a look at them, and we will try to get to them all. But you just, you know, I know you've been through a lot this week, but you just seem so much calmer.
I feel a lot calmer.
And at home.
I feel so much calmer. You know, I mean, we had a we don't have anyone living above us. This is like an enclosed bungalow, single level, ground level place. We have an attic, you know. We had a seagull land the other day. Yesterday it was a very heavy seagull, because I heard it through here, and I thought, my first thought was, oh my God, it's a poltergeist. I didn't even think that it was a neighbor, because I knew it wasn't a neighbor. I was sitting here going, what the hell was that? Oh my God, we got poltergeist. I'm not moving again. It can happen. I don't care.
That's so funny.
That is funny. Well, while we're waiting for any questions, do you have anything, any other thoughts you want to share on like the 7F, if it's been working for you, if you found it helpful, your thoughts on it?
I'm actually really loving it, and it's made me really think about things. And because I'm neurodivergent, I have both autism and ADHD, and it's helped me put a lot of stuff down that tends to swim a lot. So it's been nice, because I've been able to put it down, think about it, and really put down on paper what I'm thinking, but in a way that makes sense. Because I'm very visual, and where some people will probably just have words running through their heads, I'll see it all. And fun.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alicia.
How about Tai Chi? It's so calming, the Happy Whisk says.
Tai Chi is definitely something that I will have to look at, but a lot of Tai Chi is done standing, and I have a 10-minute standing ability at this moment. At that point, my legs start to shake because my back starts to compress, and my back actually compresses inwards around my spinal cord, and that's when I end up having falls. So Tai Chi eventually will be really good, but at the moment I have to do things that I can do, like lying down, sitting down, that kind of thing, to get that strength coming back into my back, so I've got that protection around it.
The Happy Whisk is Ivy, and she said that makes sense about standing. Hey, G Mama Grows, welcome in. Let's see here. Any other questions for you guys? G Mama says, hi, Bloo.
Hi, Emmy.
Oh, Barb says she has her daughter doing the 7Fs. Very cool.
Awesome.
Aww.
I would like to focus on fitness, and I always try to think about just eating more vegetables, and fruits, and not necessarily eliminate anything, just eating more vegetables. because I always think of them as the disease fighters. But
Yeah.
I definitely, I sure to heck don't stop myself from eating a powdered donut, or, I mean, I'm just being honest, or a hamburger.
Oh, I get it. I get it. There's a place here that does donut waffles.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm
Wow.
hoping I feel like with goals, you have like these, you'll have your big monstrosity of goals, which for
Yeah.
you, Bloo, that is your plant-based diet and your fitness, your exercising and things that you're going to start doing. For me, it's a couple other things that I've got going on right now that are just big, and they consume a lot of time. You have to kind of stay up with the other things. But I feel like once we get settled from this big audacious goal that we're working on right now, that then I'll be able to maybe relax and focus on more about our diet and fitness. That's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Totally get that. I see that.
Here's the reality.
Mhm.
The
Tell us,
reality
Lisa.
of it is if you don't value it, you're not going to change it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, you know, and that's been my problem all along. So
Yeah. So it's the hardest thing to give up as you go plant-based. Okay. There's 3 things. Bacon.
Oh yeah,
All of the bacon.
all of the bacon.
All of the bacon. Pork pies. No, it's not bacon. It's just another part of the pig that maybe it's possibly made into, you know, pork pie, but it wasn't made into bacon. So, yeah. And cheese, because I'm a cheeseaholic.
Yes.
Cheese.
Oh
Cheese.
man.
But
So yeah, I have no intention of eliminating bacon or cheese from my diet, like ever. I'll cut out the pastries.
yeah, no problem there.
But don't take away my bacon and my cheese.
Yeah. And Barb made a good point. She was talking about like smoothies are the best way to get your vegetables.
Yeah, I was you know, I was listening to that health podcast with the different doctors up talking, and one of them was talking about, like, even for people who have high blood pressure, you know, look to, and this goes to food, so all of your greens, eat more greens, because you could possibly, or take supplements of magnesium because you could be short on magnesium. Eat your bananas, you could be short on potassium. And one that I didn't know, for anybody who tends to retain fluid, you could have a B1 deficiency. And I didn't know this. I'm thinking to myself, I need to get like more, you know, drink hibiscus tea because that's a diuretic, right? Dandelion leaf tincture is a diuretic, right? I'm thinking I need these things. I could have a B1 deficiency. So I'm going to get like a B vitamin supplement that's like, you know, I take B12 every now and then because I can tell if I'm having a bad brain day. I'm like, man, I'm probably short on B12. But yeah, that's the foods. Like, all of your veggies are so good for you. I can see why it starts to make you feel better when you're on a plant-based diet, because you're getting all of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, people say, oh, but what about protein and stuff? And there is one thing that really annoys me at the moment in social, it's a new buzzword of calling meat protein. And I think that's wrong, because it's not the only protein. And it's MasterChef is huge for it. And that's got such a massive following in every country in the world, just about. But they call meat protein. And it's like,
they do.
No.
And it comes from like people that are real into lifting weights too, because my brother's one of those. And that's what he calls it, getting his protein. And what he's talking about is chicken. Like, all they eat chicken a million different ways. I couldn't make the sacrifices that they make to be him and his wife. But
in legumes, there's 5 times as much protein as there is in chicken.
Yep.
So, you know, hang on a second.
So
We've
what
got
do
legumes,
you eat?
we've got fungus, we've got all sorts of different things that have got massive amounts of protein in. Even the greens have protein in that have more than or equal to a steak. So we need to stop using language that puts down, the use of vegetable protein, because it does put people off and gives the wrong message, I think, as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the reality of it is that
Mm.
protein takes a lot of forms.
It does. And vegetable proteins that come from vegetables are actually easier for the human body to digest than it does if it comes from meat. Whereas meat can sit in your stomach for up to a week before you digest it. Vegetables go,
Yeah.
they don't take a week.
Right. I'm sorry, I like my protein in the meat form.
I do too. I like to cut it with my fork. Maybe dip it in something.
Country Mama wants to make a lentil loaf.
Hey, you could do it. I'll bet you'd make a good one. You're a good cook.
Yeah, go for it.
Hey, Jerry Carpenter, Self-Reliance. Thank you, Tony Kettle Kitchen. You're so sweet. Well, we're kind of at time. My last minute questions for Bloo. It's been wonderful having you with us today.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm just so thrilled that you and Tanny are in your place, and now you can actually get settled, and it's so bright, and it's just wonderful.
Awesome.
And that in itself makes a huge difference, because the other place was so dark. It was like living in a dungeon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm just looking here. Barb's country home, she said she can't stand hot tea.
Oh, that's funny, Barb. Hey, whatever the hot tea is, just throw some ice on it.
Yeah.
Because that's, it's funny because, I love my herbal teas. But in the winter, I will drink more hot teas, but I also like coffee. Granted, I drink decaffeinated, but I do like decaffeinated coffee. But in the summer, I drink the most tea because I make my herbal tea and I pour it right over ice with maybe some lime or lemon, whatever it's going to taste good with. But yeah, don't let that deter you from experiencing the wonderfulness of tea.
Absolutely not.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree. Well, thank you, ladies, for being with us today. And Pam, we've enjoyed having you.
Yes,
I'm going to call you the Blue Pixie.
Thank you for having me,
It's been
guys.
so fun chatting with you and hearing about your goals. You got me thinking about what I'm going to be putting in my mouth and doing with the rest of my body today.
Yeah, I mean, you really focused on a great area of the fitness part, and that's just awesome. Great goals.
Yeah, it is. At some point, Lisa, we're going to have to think about it too. We are. Or we're going to end up at the doctor's office all the time.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, we could be fitness buddies and do like a series.
Can I take a rain check on that? Maybe. I'm thinking August might be a good month.
We're going to do this. We're going to do this.
Yep.
All right. Well, everybody, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for being here. Next week, we will be on Mtn Grandma's channel at the same time, same day. Her link is in the description. I also have Bloo's Self-Reliance link in the description. I pinned it to the top of the chat, and I've got stuff about Bloo down in our description box. So definitely check it out. And thanks for being here. So have a great day, everybody. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.